Hello everyone, welcome to the Corporate Show. My name is Owen Benjamin. We have our very first guest in our first episode. Let me first allow him to introduce himself before we roll up to the show.
Thank you, Owen. Hi to our viewers. My name is Dawako, and legally I am Wako Geoffrey Jr., aka the Trumpet of Justice, and I am a law student at the Kampala International University. But most importantly, I am an anti-poverty activist, at the same time a human rights activist.
Let's talk about the Trumpet of Justice.
Yes.
How did you come up with that probable nickname? How did you come up with it?
Well, Owen, we are living in a world that is marred and full of injustice.
Yes.
Injustice hiding in different expressions, people giving it different names. We are having what we call smart injustice. Smart injustice is one that has been normalized, yet it is abnormal in our society, and has been justified by the systems, yet it is totally unjustifiable. And that's why we require people who speak forth justice. Because our society, the growth of our society, the civilization that we so much are proud of, is driven and brought forth by justice. That's why I am the Trumpet of Justice.
Okay, let's talk about your personal story. What's your story? What can you tell out, let me see, the world about you?
Owen, before I can go further, I want to submit unto you and to our viewers that, that as I speak right now, according to the World Health Organization, every 4 seconds a person dies of hunger. And besides that, according to the United Nations, over 244 million children that are supposed to be in schools are out of schools. And furthermore, according to the World Health Organization, almost a third of the world does not have access to safe drinking water. And 20% of the world's population does not have access to basic health care or medical attention. Now, why am I bringing forth those statistics? I am presenting them because they give us the background as to why we should give a raise and give a call towards ending poverty. Personally, I was born and raised in Chibugambata. Now, Chibugambata is one of the suburbs within a slum in Jinja district, which is presumably the largest slum in eastern Uganda. I grew up seeing poverty firsthand. Individually, I grew up in poverty because I was surrounded by people who were poor, and personally, and our family, we were poor. Now, time came when I realized that I have to do something about poverty. And you see, the world has so much conventionalized certain procedures and methods of alleviating poverty. For example, charity. So I said, should I do charity to end poverty? But I didn't realize that charity has been in existence for the past innumerable years. It has been around for quite a long time. But has it been effective in alleviating poverty? No, it has not been effective. So I said, what else should I do? I said the problem of poverty, after scrutinizing and analyzing it, poverty is something that we can get rid of. But it is a system that must be scrapped off, that must be uprooted, that must be taken out of existence. And how can we do that? Is by being activists, is by speaking up, is by raising our voices, is by making sure that we uproot the system globally and not nationally. Because poverty is not merely an individual concept. It is not a national concept. Poverty is a global concept. You'll find poor people in Uganda, you'll find them in Kenya, you'll find them in the Caribbean, you'll find them in Latin America, and you'll find them in Europe. Poverty is a global concept, and as such, I realized that in order for us to end poverty, we need to come up with an umbrella of fighting poverty.
Before we go further, let's help our viewers. What do you mean by activism, or what does it take for one to be an activist?
Well, activism is merely speaking up about an injustice. You understand? And personally, I have a philosophy that every human being, by virtue of their humanity or humanness, is supposed to be an activist. Because the things we speak of, the issues we address, there are issues that affect the human being. And therefore, an activist is one who raises their voices in whichever way is possible to ensure that an injustice is kicked out or is uprooted out of society. And to that extent, therefore, I am a human rights activist. You are a human rights activist because you are also raising a voice for the poor and for those who are trampled upon. That is activism.
Let's look at the G+ movement. Like, which approaches did you use for you to form the G+ movement, and what do we refer as the G+ movement? Let's help our viewers get to know what the G+ movement is all about.
Well, Owen, the G+ movement, G+ as a word is an acronym. G+ stands for Generation Plus Movement. Now, as I was discussing with you, when I sat down and realized that the only way we can get rid of poverty is by coming up with an umbrella of activism to raise a voice, I therefore realized that we need to come up with an umbrella, and I reached out to my fellows, like-minded people, well-wishers, and when we sat down we realized that we have to form a movement. Now, Generation Plus Movement is specifically focused towards ensuring that poverty is alleviated in our society and globally. It is a movement that looks at establishing a poverty-free world, realizing a poverty-free world. And I want to tell you, Owen, that we have a 4A method.
4A method?
A 4A method. It's a formula. I always want to operate in formulas for the simplification and the easement of issues to people. Now, the 4A is a formula we use as G+ movement. Our goal, our ambition, what are we targeting, and how are we going to get it?
Is it like abbreviated, or do we have, let me say, the meaning of the 4A's?
Yes, yes, we have the meaning of the 4A's, and A number 1 is attention.
Attention.
What do I mean by attention? Attention, because the world leaders have systemically deprived attention of the injustice of poverty. Poverty is an injustice,
yes,
but we are still treating it as a mere problem. Poverty has outlived its existence. Now, our primary issue is to ensure that we attract the attention of the world leaders. Number 1, when I speak about world leaders, I mean political world leaders, social world leaders, cultural world leaders. These are leaders that have the mandate and have the power and obligation to ensure that the world is going or taking the way it is supposed to take. Now, why are we emphasizing attention? We're emphasizing attention because systemically the global media, led by the multinational global houses, media houses, have systemically deprived attention of poverty. Poverty has been normalized. Poverty is being justified. So our first move is to attract attention. Attracting attention from world leaders, telling them, look, we have an injustice. We have a problem.
Like reminding them.
We are reawakening them to who they are and what they're supposed to do. Then that one takes me to A number 2. A number 2 is action. Action comes after attention, because when you realize that the reason as to why our leaders are not acting befittingly against poverty, which is a global injustice, is because maybe they do not realize that it's an injustice. So we believe that by attracting their attention through our different forces, our different activities, and our different activations, we shall attract them to act. That is now A number 2. They act. That is action. You understand? Now, acting is just a single dimensional idea. But we have A number 3, which is addition.
Addition.
Now, what is addition? Addition is whereby we get the voices, the ideas, the opinions of the poor people who are the biggest sector or the stakeholders in alleviating poverty onto the table of debate. We want to amalgamate the ideas of the poor people, the voices of the victims, into the processes of alleviating and solving the problem. You understand that?
Yes.
I want to give you an example. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations are multinational organizations which have undertaken to end poverty. But I want to assure you that people who are working in these organizations none of them has ever experienced poverty firsthand. None of them is a victim. And that's where we are having problems that are frustrating processes of ending poverty. It's because people who are working in these organizations are advising poor people to do things they themselves have never done. Are you understanding that? That's why in our process or our strategy, we have what we call addition. Adding the voices of the poor people. We want poor people to be spoken for. Like I always tell people, there is a distinction between speaking about poor people and speaking for poor people. The semantics speak for themselves. When you speak about poor people, you describe them. When you speak for poor people, you speak because you have first-hand experience of that problem. You understand? Yes. And that's why we are speaking about addition. Let the voices of poor people be added into the processes and procedures of alleviating poverty. And that's why we rose to occasion. Because I want to assure you, we are speaking for poor people. We have seen poverty, we have tested poverty, we have experienced poverty, we know what poverty means firsthand.
What is the percentage of, let me say, the poverty rate in Uganda?
As I'm coming to you, Owen, let me finish the first A, the last A. The last A is actualization.
Actualization.
After having attention, adding action to attention, adding addition to attention, then we shall have what we call actualization. United Nations speaks in its SDGs blueprint that we want to overcome poverty by 2030. But I want to assure you that, Owen, since 1990 to 2015, we had what we call the Millennium Development Goals. These goals were 8. The first goal of those goals was ending poverty, extreme poverty. We had a decrease in percentage of poor people globally from 36% to 10%. That means there's a difference of 26%. 26%. You understand? But I want to surprise you that since 2015, whereby the world leaders, and extreme poverty is what we call an injustice. This is where a human being lacks access to any one of the basic needs of life. Now a person may ask, what do you mean by basic needs? Because what is basic to Owen may not necessarily be basic to me. Now we use this indicator. Anything that a person cannot live without is what we call a basic needs. And that what does that mean? That means food, that means safe water, that means medical attention, and that means education. A person may argue, and so many times they have argued, that why do you include education on basic needs yet a person can live without heat? Then we tell them, according to the sociological advancements and dictates of life, as of today contemporarily, denying a human being of education.
Don't you think you're using more of complicated language to our viewers? Because me personally, I may understand it.
Yes.
But to the viewers.
Okay. Now, saying that education is not a basic need is an understatement of human life and a misunderstanding of human life. You should understand that as of today, based on the different technological advancements we have had, depriving a human being of education is depriving him of a chance to explore his potential and ability. And that's why we add education as part of the basic needs we explain. That is the two types of poverty. And we are so much against extreme poverty because extreme poverty is unfair. It is immoral. Extreme poverty is illogical. It is intolerable and indefensible.
Looking at the causes, those are the types, yeah? Which are the causes?
Now, what causes poverty?
Like general causes.
The general.
Just give us them, like 3 or 5.
3 or 5. I'll give you 2.
All right.
The major causes. The first one is errors in the global system, economic systems.
Cut it short. Cut it down.
I'm going to break it down. What is the errors in the global economic systems? The global system as of today thrives on capitalism. Capitalism is whereby a person achieves as per his ability.
The few are rich.
But now for us we are saying that is unfair. Why? Because we know very well from the onset that different individuals and human beings have different abilities.
Yes.
You understand? We may have the same substance but different competence. We have the same dignity but different ability as human beings. And that's why we tell people, that there are people who are brighter than others and more intelligent than others. That is a fact.
I call them smart people.
Smart people. When you listen to him, you say this guy is smarter than the rest. You understand? Then there are people who are physically stronger. For example, Owen, we are both slim guys. You understand? Now, when you meet a guy who is huge, that guy is physically stronger than you are.
Yeah.
Then there are people who are born lucky. You understand? But we need to understand one thing, that all these factors are natural. Nobody goes to the shop to buy intelligence. Have you ever seen a shop or a supermarket saying we are selling intelligence? No, that's impossible. But why are people being discriminated because of lack of intelligence?
I don't know. I think
that is unfair. Don't you find that unfair?
Yeah.
Because these people who are saying we are intelligent, for example, there are people who have dropped out of school, not because they so much desire to drop out of school, but because they are not intellectually capable of handling studies. Now, such people are systemically deprived of a future.
There are those that maybe, let me say, once you go into, let me say, skills, they can easily capture skills.
You are right.
More than, let me say, classwork.
You are very right. That's why we are saying that basing on natural factors to deprive human beings of their natural right to basic needs is unfair. So we are trying to call at the attention of the global leaders and human beings that look here, these people lack equality, lack ability, but does it make them more or less of human beings?
No.
Thank you very much. So we are saying the globe should establish systems whereby every human being can be catered for, at least at the level of basic needs.
Yes.
Owen, it's quite heartbreaking to find a person who is wasting food, yet another one is starving because of lack of food. It is so heartbreaking to find a person achieving useless certificates and education and academic qualifications, yet another person is grossly deprived of the right to education. You understand? It is so heartbreaking to find people piling up at medical centers looking for basic medical attention, which costs less than $10, but they don't have that money.
Don't you think that is sidelining with selfishness?
Yes, you are right. Selfishness is the root cause. But now, I prefer being objective. When you speak about selfishness, a person will say all of us are selfish. You understand? I prefer putting it in terms that can be understandable by people who are stakeholders. Is it understandable? It is heartbreaking to find. I will give you a story. One day I went to a public hospital in our area. Benjamin, I found a woman who literally died before our own eyes. They wanted 50,000 shillings for her to be operated. She was going to give birth, but she was supposed to be taken to C-section. And they required only 50,000 Uganda shillings. I want to surprise you that, Owen, this woman never had the money. By the time they became human again, by taking her to the theater, she died and the baby died. These are the stories happening across the world everywhere.
So particularly, we lost 2 people.
We lost 2 people because of something very simple. Yet there is another person in another world who is going for medical checkups that are rather not so important or not so. A person says, let me go for medical checkup in Portugal. Let me go for Singapore. You understand? We are saying this is unfair. In as much as we are running in a world of capitalism, in a world of work and get it for yourself, in a world of survival for the fittest, I think we have a responsibility of being our brother's keepers. You cannot watch your brother dying and keep silent. You cannot see them being dehumanized, being scorched by the sun of poverty. And we all just fold our hands, become passive, insensitive, and indifferent. That is so unfair. And then
do we have other particular cause? Because you told us there are 2 general causes. Then I think.
Then the other 2, the second cause, it is, I will take it to the individual level. You understand?
Yes.
And this goes to the level, yes, we have people who are lazy. People who are intrinsically lazy. You understand? And some people have always come up with criticism to our idea, telling us that you are calling upon the world to ensure that all human beings have access to basic needs. But don't you think that this will exacerbate laziness amongst people? And we tell them, look here, in as much as there is a system of work for what you will eat, are there no lazy people in this world?
They are.
Lazy people will remain lazy people even when you say survive or struggle. And then point number 2, being a lawyer, we have principles. There is a principle that says it is better to set free 99, 100 guilty people than imprisoning or incarcerating one innocent person. Why should we dictate the future of innocent people who are genuinely poor, even when they work hard, even when they struggle? You understand? Because there are some individuals or there are some elements within their population that are lazy pathologically. But yes, that is also some other factor.
Do you also believe that here in Uganda, if you're a fool, you can survive?
Could you please explain further?
Okay, this is just, let me say, a statement was said by His Excellency. You know, I don't want to go more into politics, but okay, let me say I keep on, whenever I turn on my phone, okay, I have it on my phone screen, and they say that here in Uganda, if you're a fool, you can even survive. But in Europe, if you're a fool, you can't survive. Because here in Uganda, they can easily give you food, they can easily give you where to stay, even when you're a fool. Do you also believe that?
Well, I will not give you a direct answer, but I will tell you this. Issues pertaining to dynamics of national economies, these issues are so complex. Yeah. He may have given his personal opinion, but for me, when I speak about poverty, I don't speak about people who are... You see, poverty is an injustice. We don't do a favor to poor people to alleviate poverty. You understand? Yes. You see, most of the time there is this analogy, a narrative that has been created that poor people should be helped out. We are helping poor people, going for charity. You see Bill Gates making a lot of money and says, I've donated 1 million to poor people and so forth. No, poor people are not supposed, it's not a gesture of charity to help poor people. It is an actual expression and implementation of human rights to help poor people. Poor people have a right, by virtue of being human, to be helped out of poverty. You understand? So, to that extent, I will only say, maybe according to the domestic factors that play at home here in Uganda, a person may survive when they're full. You understand? That is according to His Excellency. But I do not think we should down-reason or downplay the impact of poverty to such a simple definition that a fool can even survive in Uganda. No, poverty is very dangerous. Poverty is very debilitating. Poverty is very excruciating. Poverty is dangerous.
Let's talk about the G+ movement.
Yes.
What is the number, let me see, what could be the number, the particular number of the advocates in the G+ movement?
When we began, which was last year, around this very time, I think we made our first year anniversary. We had a strategy, a plan. You see, when you want to identify like-minded people, which are young people, you first and foremost go into a big number. For example, if you want to find good beans out of a sack of beans, you don't look at them directly and know these are good, these are bad. You put them together, remove one by one. So we began with a big number last semester, but we went progressively identifying key strategic members, and as of now, we are 100 members in different universities in Uganda. We are planning to expand our scope and spectrum of influence and activity into other countries. You understand? We are all coming, people from Somaliland, people from Kenya, because fighting poverty requires the effort of every person regardless of nothing.
Yeah. How do you guys sustain yourselves?
Socially, financially?
Socially I think that one is kind of easy. But for the issue of financial issues.
By the way, contrary to what you think,
do you have some, let me say, have you yet gotten some endorsements from particular organizations?
Contrary to what you think, it is easier to sustain an idea financially than it is to sustain it socially. I want to assure you, Owen,
how does this
with my experience with human beings, you can go and explain an idea to a person. A person says, oh, I love the idea. Now when it's time to act, that person will not be seen anywhere.
What really causes
People
that?
will say, I love your idea is good, your idea is what? But when it comes to issues of action, people become totally passive and they hide away. So what I'm saying is that even when I've seen organizations that have enough of resources, they have enough money, but they cannot get the number G Plus has. You understand? Mobilization is very expensive, socially, even before you go to financially. You understand? But I want to thank my fellows that we work with. We have been so dedicated to the idea, and we are working tooth and nail, because we understand the more we become silent, the more we keep quiet, the more we become weak and discouraged, is the more poor people are going to die, is the more poor people are going to suffer, and the more they are going to be scorched by the sun of poverty. That takes me to the financial part. Financially, we are a self-sustaining movement as of now. Our idea is so novel and unconventional. It is very difficult for you to go and tell another NGO that we are activists, we want to raise our voice against poverty, and you sell it as partner. Because our idea is unconventional. It is not a common idea. It is not novel. It is novel. It is not common. You understand? So we have been having some issues with partnerships, which is okay. You understand? A movement has always such problems. But we have been self-sustaining by soliciting money out of ourselves and staging activities, doing this and that. But we want to thank different partners. For example, the American Embassy, through the American Center, it has been a good partner with us. It hosts our symposiums. Then we have ITOS Media. This is a media that is working with us to shine a light towards poverty. So that is all about our financing. But we have anticipation and expectation in the future. We are expecting to work with big organizations, bigger personalities, those who find our idea worthwhile idea.
How often do you guys sensitize the public about this particular cause?
Well, due to financial impediments, we have been having issues with our activities. We have a big vision. We have big activities that we would like to stage, but because of financial incapacitation, we find ourselves narrowed down to a certain level. That's why we want to sensitize this idea beyond the borders of Uganda. So our biggest tool, and which is the biggest weapon of this generation, is social media. Social media can send a message to America within a blink of an eye. So we are employing social media handles, social media platforms, specifically Twitter. We are sending our message via Twitter. You understand? So that is the biggest tool we use, Twitter. Then number two, we conduct what we call the documentary tours. Documentary tours is whereby, in the bid to add the voice of poor people into the processes of alleviating poverty, we have conceptualized an idea of visiting these poor people in places where they are, going to places that are highly infested with poor people, and getting a personal story of these poor people. For example, which places have you moved to? We have been to Buvuma district. It's an island district. Then we have been to deep slums of Jinja. Then we have been to deep slums of Kansanga and some parts of Bwaise.
Like, after you leaving that side, let me say after you leaving those places, do you always recognize the change? There is change there?
No, Owen, we do not go there to get change. We visit that place to get the people's
ideas.
I don't know whether you're getting me. These people, as I told you, that officials working in these multinational organizations have never experienced poverty individually. They see it on TV, read it in magazines, hear about it.
You're acting as a watchdog. You have to show them what is really happening.
Thank you very much. So we want to bring their attention to the facts. That's why we call our Loki Tour series Face the Reality. We are telling them, in as much as you are in your offices, boardroom meetings, symposiums, summits, poor people are languishing in poverty here. You understand? That's why we get our voices, we get the voices of the poor people, we expose them to the world, showing them that poverty is not an imagination, poverty is not an hallucination, poverty is reality. That's why we do the docu tours. Then we have activity number three. That is where we conduct symposiums and other youth exchanges. We believe that young people, being the biggest demographic demographic composition in the world, they are the influencers of the future. You understand? And subtracting young people from ending poverty is like wanting to eat food without a plate. You understand? So we engage university students, we engage local society youths, you understand, high schoolers, so that we can influence the topic and the idea or the conversation of poverty.
What is the time period so far of the G+ movement? Like when was it founded? Like, and
G+ has been in existence for 1 year.
For 1 year.
We began in September last year, that is 2021, and we have been in existence for 1 year.
All right. What are the challenges that you have so far faced in the G+ movement?
Thank you so much. Owen, just like anything across the world, challenges are a must. But as I told you, I'm a man of formulas.
Yeah.
Now I will put our challenges in a formula known as 3M, 3MC,
3MCD.
I'm going to explain every letter there.
Yeah.
3M, we are going to begin with the first M. The first M is misunderstanding. Owen, since our idea is unconventional, we labored a lot to explain our idea to fellow students and like-minded young people. Because when you explain to them about your idea and you tell them we are a movement against poverty, the first thing that will run to their mind is a charity organization, a foundation, getting money, handing out. And the biggest problem we have faced is a misunderstanding us.
From your particular fellows.
You explain something to a person is as if they understand, but after
it is still lacking.
They don't get the entire picture. You understand? So that has been a very big challenge. Then that takes me to M number 2. M number 2 is misrepresentation. After misunderstanding us, most of them, because of passion, they desire to express, to sell us or market us, you understand? But again, marketing us based on misrepresentation. A person asks them, what is G+ movement? They will say, G+ is a group of young people who want to help the poor, giving them handouts, giving them money, you understand? Helping the poor. Yet that, yes, they have a passion, but they are misrepresenting us.
Yeah, they're not bringing out the idea.
Consequently, after being misrepresented, a person will come to you with a different perspective. You understand? Then after that, that leads us to M number 3. That is mispositioning.
Mispositioning.
Or when we have been mispositioned. When you discuss our idea to other people, expressing our idea to other people, the first thing they will say, when a person say, these people are against poverty in Uganda, or these people are against poverty in Uganda, another person will say, but why don't you begin in Uganda? You understand?
Yes.
So we labor a lot to explain to them that our idea is a global idea. It is not an idea that is within the confines of Uganda. Yes, Uganda is part of the globe, but our idea stretches a bit beyond Uganda, beyond Africa. It goes to the world. So it is a very big problem. Actually, last time when we were having our march, the march on Washington, the march on United Nations, phase 1, we had a very big problem and an altercation with the police of Uganda. They thought we were protesting against the government. You understand? So it took them a while to understand that our idea is beyond Uganda.
Before we go more like into those challenges, have you so far, let me say, have you been recognized or have you legalized as a movement?
Well, movements hardly seek for legal recognition. Why? Because a movement is something that must not be dictated of which rules to take. Because when you go into legal endorsements and qualifications, you are going to narrow down your scope of influence and effect. Why? Because now, according to the NGO Bureau of Uganda, there are some requirements and prerequisites you must have to be qualified as a movement. Now, for us, we want to distance ourselves from operating as a legal entity because a movement has no rules. A movement is influenced by a desire and a passion to see something being put into place. So to that extent, we are not legally recognized in Uganda.
Don't you think you will continue facing these particular challenges of the police, the brutal, let me say, harassment of the police? Don't you think you are going to continue?
Oh yes, you are right. But fortunately, that is part of the process. It is either we go legalized and we constrict our activities, or we remain unrecognized and we are not illegal because we are doing nothing illegal.
Yeah.
You understand? Our constitution provides for a right of assembly. You understand? Assembly and free expression. So when we go into the legalities of wanting to become an entity recognized by the laws of Uganda, then we are saying we are going to operate as per the laws of the country.
Don't you think, let me say, when you're protesting, it will call upon change, of which the change is what the most opposition members are looking for. When they join you and start, let me say, protesting, even, let me say, giving hard and peaceful demonstrations.
I want to correct you over something. We do not protest. We march.
We march.
Protesting is saying this is wrong, we are against this. Marching is to dramatize the idea. Dramatizing the idea is to get what is in the head and put it into practice. That look, we are here. We are here for this cause. And then to the issue of misunderstanding us within the local confines of Uganda, we cannot avoid that. You understand? And mind you, even if we become legal, because we have two options. Either we go legal and become totally inactive, or we stay unregistered and become active. There are two options. And if you ask me which option I can take, I will take the issue of not being registered but being active, because being active is what will bring the goal of ending poverty.
All right, let's get to the CD challenges.
The CD. Now, after aim of me being mispositioned, we go to C. To C is cynics or cynicism. Well, who is a cynic? Who is a cynic? A cynic is a person who sees problems where there are solutions. Are you understanding?
No.
A cynic is a person who sees, who finds a problem with every solution.
With every solution.
These are people who are there to show you how you are going to fail.
I now understand.
They understand your idea very well, but they, because of certain reasons, they will tell you are going to fail. It won't be possible. You won't succeed.
Or maybe they try to relate it to other movements.
That is okay. But they always tell you you are going to fail, you are going to do this, you are going to do that, you won't succeed. I will call them pessimists. You understand? These people are so many. We face them in our first year, in our first days of existence. You would explain an idea to them, and because of totally personal problems, subjective reasons,
and he or she tells you that I don't think it will work out.
It won't work out. And you tell them, okay, if it won't work out, what is going to work out? And they'll tell you, I don't have, but it won't work out. Then you ask him, why do you think it won't work out? No. It just won't work out.
You just keep on sticking on that very.
Yeah, there are people of that caliber. Those are called cynics. They are doomsayers. They are doom preachers. You understand? But those ones, we are now above them, because they have now realized that we are not driven by their words or by their convictions. We are driven by a good life that poor people are going to have. Then now D is destructive critics. You see, Owen, as an individual and as a person, I am so welcoming of criticism. But I have one problem with criticism. As long as your criticism is not positive and constructive, but rather destructive and negative, I don't welcome it. We are having a lot of people who want to criticize ideas. They'll come and tell you, but yes, your idea is good, but the problem, blah, blah, blah. They have a lot of excuses, problems. But now for me, as a movement, we have been facing such people who are negative and destructive critics. They will tell you,
never given up.
We can't listen to them, because we cannot listen to a voice of one person who was intending to destroy us. You understand?
Yeah.
But if you come with an idea and you tell me, you know what, your idea is good, but how do you see you do it this way, and this way? Most of them, when they come with their criticism, we tell them, okay, you have criticized us. What would you rather do if you were us? And they don't have any solution. So those are the people, those are the challenges that we have faced so far in the formula of 3M CD.
I think before you get to the meaning of your particular slogans, I think first tell us about one or two solutions to our particular challenges.
Challenges. Well, we have a solution to every challenge. The first three M's,
Yeah.
those ones, the misunderstanding, we labor as much as possible to explain to those that can understand us. And if people don't understand or misunderstand us, we labor again to explain. Because we believe that since our idea is unconventional and novel, it is unorthodox, most people will find it hard to understand us. So what we do is we explain to them frequently, using different art, using different ideas, using different expressions, so that they can understand us very well. Then representing us, surely that one we cannot solve it at this level, because people misrepresent even where you are not. But what we do is we do a disclaimer. You understand? Then number 3, that is mispositioning us. We still explain to them. Then the issue that pertains to cynics, we don't have time for them.
Yeah.
We don't have time for cynicism. And
Destructive critics, we don't have time for them. We listen to them, because if we are to respond to every critique, we wouldn't have time for constructive work. I think you should tell us now the meaning of the slogans beyond SDG 1 and hashtag I am human too.
Okay, I'll begin with beyond SDG 1. You see, Owen, as I was explaining to you earlier in our introduction, I told you about the MDGs.
Yeah.
Then I told you about the SDGs. There are 17 SDGs. And the first SDG is ending poverty. Now, when our leaders sat down, they found it wise and prudent to make SDG 1 ending poverty. For us, we are saying, instead of dividing the effects of poverty, because poverty is like a syndrome. Do you know HIV?
HIV, yeah.
And AIDS. AIDS is not a disease. AIDS is a syndrome. What is a syndrome? A syndrome is a collection of symptoms that depict a disease. You understand? So what AIDS does is that AIDS is a carrier or a container of many symptoms that lead up to AIDS, that makes it a disease. So poverty as an idea is too big that almost every SDG of the rest of the 16 SDGs are caused by it. That's why for us we are telling them that look beyond SDG 1. Don't focus on SDG 1 specifically. Look beyond. Those 16 are caused by poverty. You understand?
So in order for us to solve them,
16?
The 16, we have to solve this.
Poverty is the primary SDG. That's why we call it beyond SDG. Now that takes me to slogan number 2. That is I am human too. Owen, I always tell my fellow young people, and I always tell people where I go, that human beings, by virtue of their humanness, have both rights and obligations. Now, being human, I am obligated to be your keeper because you are my brother. You understand? I have to look out for you. I have to care for you. By virtue of being human, I have an obligation to take care of you. When something goes wrong with you, I have to look. That's what distinguishes us from other animals. Because we have the emotional intelligence to understand that being human beings, we have to look out for others. So when we say I am human too, we are trying to show you that do not betray your humanness. You should express your humanness. You should remain human. And when you look at poverty, poverty is the leading cause of suffering to mankind.
All right.
Then number 2. I am human too has another dimension of understanding. We are trying to show you that since you have an obligation to take care of a fellow human being, this human being also has a right. The right to basic needs. That's why I am human too is not just a mere slogan. It is an outcry of the poor people saying, look at me, I am human too. The same way you are human and you have a right to basic needs. I am human too. I am human too. You are human too. Everybody is human too.
Looking at the G+ movement, what are the future prospects or future plans of the G+ movement?
Well, basing on our strategy that I had explained earlier on, that is the 4A, we are expecting to spread out the word to the world through our different platforms to the globe at large. And as a result, we are expecting action and attention. We cannot disclose our plans as of now, while we have them, but we believe that within the shortest period possible, we shall attract the attention of the global organizations and, most importantly, the global media, the fourth estate. They are so apathetic to the idea. Poor people are dying, they are suffering.
Where do you see the G Plus movement in the 5 years' time? 5 years,
I see it as a global movement.
Shall we, do we have, headquarters right now, or do we have a home?
We don't have a home as of now. We are going to have a home in the near future. Yes, but I see it as a global movement actually, because trust me, poverty is an injustice, and if people realize it's an injustice, people will rise up. That's why we are making it our responsibility and obligation to raise our voice to the world, to tell them, look here, there is a problem. I want to send a message to the media. Media is a very big problem. Media is the mirror of society. They are supposed to reflect what is going on in society. But the problem with our media or the fourth estate is that they are systemically depriving the biggest injustice of all time's attention. They find people on the street, nobody cares. Find people suffering, nobody cares. Everybody's like, that is normal. We are okay with that. It is what it is. Yes, Owen.
How would one join the G Plus movement?
Joining is simple. You just go to our social media handles, express interest, then you come in. Then if you know one of us, you reach out to us and join G Plus movement. G Plus movement is more of activity as opposed to...
A person may be in Karamoja and is interested and doesn't know anyone. Doesn't know anyone in the G Plus.
You go to the Twitter handle, we have Twitter handles. You go to the Twitter handles, express interest, because G Plus is not just a group. G Plus is an idea.
An idea.
So if you are fighting against poverty in your own capacity, you are part of G Plus automatically. We don't have legal, Simanya, you bring your ID, how old.
Okay, drop your social handles to the people.
Well, on Twitter, we go at G Plus Movement. That is Twitter. Twitter is our home. It is our basis. Then when you go to Instagram, it is at G Plus Movement still. G Plus Movement is our Instagram. Facebook is Generation Plus Movement. Those are our Twitter. Those are our social media handles.
It is only 2 social.
3. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
All right. What are the last 2 remarks or the advice that you would give out to the world?
I have a message to 3 groups of people. The first one is the world leaders. I want to tell you world leaders that you know very well that we can overcome poverty within a blink of an eye. We have the resource capacity, we have the financial muscle, but because we lack the political will and the desire and dedication to end poverty, we are still having the greatest injustice of our times existing in our society. So world leaders, social, political, religious leaders, you should stay true to your mandate and your obligation by rallying together people and fighting against poverty. My second message goes to the fourth estate, which is the media. You people are the mirror of society. You cannot keep on looking around as people are dying, people are wallowing in poverty, people are suffering, and the only thing you are doing is you are giving more attention to not so important issues. We are calling upon you. Give sufficient coverage to poverty. Let people know what poverty means. Let them know how much it costs people to be poor. Let them know how people are suffering across the world. Not only in Uganda, not only in Africa, but globally. My last message goes to young people. Fellow young people, we are the biggest demographic composition in the world. We are the crafters, the engineers of the future. Do not be tempted to keep quiet. Do not be tempted to be silent. Do not become passive when the world needs you. We can design, we can create, we can make a world that our children, our posterity will be proud of. And this message is for you. Let us come together in whichever place we are, in our own capacity. Let us ensure that we create a poverty-free world through our activism, through our voices, through our ways. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks very much for your time. I think to supplement on that, we can all work together. We are supposed to bring back those ideas of solidarity, equality, and fraternity. All of us, we can fight and end poverty. we can deliver the poverty-free conditions, me and you will know all what we can do. Please, thanks very much for watching. Watch out on all our social handles. My name is Owen Benjamin. Follow me on my Instagram at Owen Benjamin Lekuni, Twitter at Owen Benjamin, YouTube it is Owen Benjamin Corporate Show. Thanks very much. Let's watch out for the next episode of the Corporate Show. Thanks very much.